All right, so I've got your email too, that has the questions in it.
Perfect. Okay, everybody, welcome. David Kinder here, going live here in Facebook. Today, we're going to be talking, of course, with Tom Love. He's the founder of the Professionals Forum. And of course, we had our first event earlier, actually last year, 2023, which was a wonderful event. I was pleased to attend. So Tom, I mean, everybody in the group has heard of you. At least they should have by now. If they haven't, where have they been? But Tom, why did you create this annual industry event, and what's your long-term vision?
Well, that really is the heart and soul for what I want to do for the rest of my career. When I started back in the 70s, there were huge producers that were well thought of, industry legends that you read about, you heard about, and maybe sometimes if you attended an international event, you could see them from afar. But it was pretty darn difficult to form a friendship with any of them because they were so aloof and really just hard to get at. Even today, there are huge producers around the world that you could watch on social media, but then again, you don't get to rub shoulders, you don't get to shake hands of some of those people and spend time with them. You read about them. You don't really get the opportunity to talk to them. So I have found over my career that the more focused I become, and especially understanding how communication works, selling life insurance is becoming so much easier for me. And when I mean easier, I'm talking about average premiums of 70,000, millions of dollars of premium a year. And it's ways of talking and creating life insurance to be a want rather than data producing life insurance needs. And there's nothing wrong with a needs-based structure or a needs-based platform. But what I have found was if I can create an environment conducive where someone truly understands how life insurance works, and it's not always just about the commission for the agent. As a matter of fact, if I sense in an interview that somebody thinks they're doing this because I'm going to be paid, I shut it down. This isn't about me. This is about the client. So I have found that through understanding what you believe, why you believe it, to whom you wish to share your beliefs, the benefit they get from understanding your beliefs, and then simply asking, do you believe as I do, has produced more results for me personally selling than me doing a database and then selling based on just a minimum need. So I want to give back. I've been very lucky, been very fortunate, and this is truly an expensive event. And I'm willing to do that because I want to give back to the industry and allow people who wanted to see icons like Van Miller or Jim Root or George Sigurdson and just be able to say, you know what? I'm going to spend this year different than last year, 10 hours, potentially 10 hours of one-on-one opportunity to ask every one of our speakers questions and listen to them face to face what their answer would be. How do you handle certain circumstances? How do you handle this objection? What is your objective when you reach someone? And it's those kinds of conversations I wish when I was young, I would have had an opportunity to do that. And I want this to be an industry annual event. And eventually I'd love to fill Bridgestone Arena that holds 18,000 people.
Yeah, it's a fantastic vision, Tom, and something that it's harder to know who's worth listening to, who's worth really getting the mentorship from. And that actually brings me into the next question that I have for you. If we could take a few moments, let's talk about each of the speakers who are presenting. Let's pretend I've never heard of any of them. Let's pretend that whoever's clicking in has never heard of any of them. Let's suppose that they've only been in one particular company and they've only been sheltered by that company. Who are these speakers and why were they chosen as part of this year's program?
Well, before we begin this year's, let me kind of go over what we tried to do last year and why this year's not much different, but is impactful. Last year, what I wanted to do is to get some of the best storytellers that could bring conversation to the audience on how to create life insurance where you become a person of interest. And I had some phenomenal world-class presenters for sure. And what I want to do this year is I want to show people how we do it, not just what we do. This isn't, when I was speaking at an event last year or actually a little over a year and a half ago in Canada, I came back to our office and I said, these speakers, all top of the table, all respected, phenomenal individuals, but they were really nothing more than ornaments on a Christmas tree. They were talking about sales ideas, presentations, procedures, processes, where you could probably pick up a nugget and make some headway with it. But no one is talking about the tree. No one talks about how they got there. That's what this event is going to be. How did we get to this point where it's so easy for some of us and so difficult for others? And as Jim Rudo said when I was interviewing him, he says, and then this was his image. I could do just like that. What that person just said, I could do. And that's the point. You take away one nugget, one idea from the presenters that we have, and you make $10,000, $50,000, $100,000 a year for the rest of your life. How much did you invest to come to the professionals forum? Not much in relation to the opportunity you have. So let's go through each one of them, and I'll tell you what I think the benefit for the people who attend will be. And I'm going to be interviewing them again here in the next 7 to 10 days, talking to them about what they want the audience to take away from their presentation as well.
Perfect. So let's talk about them. Each one. Why'd you pick them?
Well, go give me the names first, and we'll go through. You want to go alphabetical? Arwen?
Let's talk about Arwen.
All right. Arwen Becker speaks 40 times a year, and she and her husband have put together this platform about how to communicate with women through seminars. Now, what's fascinating to me is when I was talking with her, she said that the vast majority of the people that showed up to these events came for one reason. The vast majority, women, making up 100% of the audience, showed up is because the invitation said for women only. It did not matter what the subject was. It did not matter if the presenter was male. The invitation said, we're inviting only women. Now, the thing we have to remember is that women are going to end up controlling the majority of the wealth in this country. Maybe not for a long period of time, because if the husband dies 5 years before the woman, but they own a lot. And they are not necessarily being ignored, but they are being undervalued. And Arwen is going to be talking about that. And I'm ecstatic about having her there.
Yeah, I met her not too long ago myself. She is phenomenal. I'm looking forward to spending some individual time with her, asking her some questions. Wendy Feldman, there's a name.
Wendy Feldman, I know it. And she was referred to me by one of the other speakers. Now, of course, maybe you've heard of the name Feldman, and yes, this is her granddaughter. So I wanted her to come. She's a New York Life agent, and she's having a blast. And she has the same struggles, trials, tribulations that we all have. And listening to someone who you would expect with a name like Feldman, life comes easy. And it's not. Those same fundamentals that are required of us, she has to go through too. So she's going to talk about the things then the struggles and the successes that she's had in the same company, and her successes. So I'm looking forward to meeting her.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to that too. I'm gonna have her sign her uncle's book for me.
There you go.
Okay, here's a kind of a new name. Who's this David Kinder guy? David
Kinder is a plethora of information. He's probably had more, you idiot, more individual invitations, presentations, questions, sponsorships, if you will, where you have had interviews with some of the most successful around the world. And you have picked up more nuggets than any individual I've ever met. So I'm looking forward to having you at the forum talk about some of the things that you've picked up from a wide variety of speakers, all the people that you've interviewed over your career. I think it's a great opportunity for people who haven't been able to sit in on some of those interviews. What are some of the secrets that you've picked up?
And there's a ton of information I can share on that. Unfortunately, you only give me 30 minutes, but that's okay. I'll make it squeeze in there. Okay. Sandy Chazelle.
Sandy Chazelle was discovered by you when you interviewed, or when you suggested he interview me back, I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago. Sandy's a coach where he tries to show how you can get out of your own way and succeed, table, whether it's court or top of, but production that is easier than most people think. I look back when I started in the 70s and the $1 Million Roundtable was based on face amount. And the face amount was $1,666,666. And I ended up with 1,500,000 and whatever. I mean, I was darn close. And I thought, oh, that is so far. And it became over my career so far a reach, I ignored it. And then what I did is I just focused on things that would make me better. This is all Sandy talks about. Focus on those things you can control, and then core to the table became available. And we need people like Sandy because our industry, I call it white noise. I call it white noise. There are so many opportunities that all of us can venture and so many paths we can take, and then we become very little knowledge on a lot of different stuff. And the truly successful people, by and large, have a lot of information on a few things. And I always tell people, pick a lane and own it. Don't keep using the blinker. Don't keep changing lanes. Pick a lane and own it. And Sandy is really good at keeping you focused on what you need to do to succeed in the business. So I'm glad to, and anxious to hear his conversation.
Yeah, he's phenomenal. Turner Thompson.
Turner Thompson, I've known for several years. Now, Turner's in his 80s. He golfs he's in Florida, so he golfs every day he can, and he golfs 72 holes a day. And he always walks on the golf course with his bag and by himself. And he plays in foursomes. So he talks to three new people every 18 holes. Now, he is the kind of guy that when he walks into a room, the presence that emanates from this man is unbelievable. He's not loud. And he makes you feel like you're the best person in the world. You are most valued, and he's going to share with you how you can control the conversation by becoming not only a person of interest, but be attractive and have people follow you because they want to do business with you. This is going to be a deal breaker for many. This is going to be a huge impact for several of us.
George Sigurdson.
George Sigurdson. I haven't met George. George was a referral, and George is, I don't know, 50,000 years at top of the table. But here's what's interesting about George. So 50 years in the business, lifetime top of the table presenter, and his average age of his new clients are under the age of 35. Now, when you think about it, according to LIMRA, as you go through life, your clientele is 5 years younger, 5 years older than you. And that migration toward retirement, those groups of people you relate to, and you end up servicing all of your life. But he is going back and developing generational wealth. What a message for all of us old farts that have been in the business for a while to rethink, not reinvent. Rethink the impact we can have on generations of individuals. And he's going to talk about how he does that. And again, there's something for everyone, no matter if you're brand new in the business or if you've been around forever. There's a topic of inclusion that every one of us are going to be able to walk away with nuggets of information.
That's what, and George, by the way, he wrote a prospecting book called In Search of Friends. Last I recall, I think you could get it from Jim Ruta's website, which brings up Jim Ruta.
Jim Ruta. Thanks to you, I had never met Jim or Van, except through an event that you hosted and this Facebook live presentation that we did. Fascinated that, I feel like Jim is the brother that I've never I thought of Jim Ruta as the brother I never knew that existed. It is amazing how connected we are, even though he's a Canuck and lives in the other side of the world, Canada. And the way we both think about the impact we have on the profession, what a breath of fresh air. Jim is a coach for some of he's Van Miller's coach for some of the most successful people in the country, international speaker, goes all over the world, talking about the things he does to help people with an impact. and creates so many successful people. And he's the nicest guy. You put your arm around him and you feel like you've known him all of your life. And he is truly a brother from another mother.
And finally, I leave him for last, but anybody that hasn't heard of this man, I don't know where they're at. They must be under a rock, but Van Miller.
Yeah, Van's a hoot. I think the world of Van. If you look under the definition in Webster's dictionary of the exception, there will be his face. Normally, when you think of someone who is top of the table and writes 800 lives a year, usually is focused on something. I don't think Van's focused on anything. He'll sell and talk to anyone, anywhere, anytime about anything, but the gift of gab. I mean, I remember him telling me that he walks up to ladies in a grocery store and says, "Hey, look, can I have some fun with you?" And I'm thinking, well, for me, that's prison time. But for him, he walks away with 7 applications. So the way that he presents information, the way that the warm and fuzzy that you get when you are around him, the way that he makes you feel when you are near him, and the ability that you have to reach him is unmatched. Unmatched. The nicest man in the world. And I've been fortunate enough to be called his friend. And what's exciting is he's sharing with me some of these new questions that he's coming up with. And I mean, I'm using them and they're deal breakers. I mean, the way they change the way people think. And that's really that I've made a career out of making life insurance a want by being different than everybody else in the industry, or so I thought until I met this man. Um, I hope someday to be as non-threatening as he is. But you know, if you remember the show Columbo, well, one more thing. There's one more thing. That name should be Van Miller, because he never has an enemy. He always leaves an appointment with the potential. Doesn't have. I don't know if anybody's ever said a bad word about him, and truly approachable, and something that is a goal and a vision of mine that I could mimic or emulate in some degree the successes that he's had.
Yeah, Van's incredible. And so, by the way, to have a chance to have some one-on-one time with him is amazing, as well as all the other speakers. Quite frankly, in a slightly selfish way, I almost wish I wasn't a speaker so I could spend more time with them. You've got me allocated as part of them, so I don't know if I'm going to get my chance, but I want my chance.
Well, you know, we've got 10 hours of breaks in these 2.5 days.
Yeah.
And what's really interesting about this is we're going to have speaker stations. So we're going to have for you a blow up, and we'll give it to you if you want, banner. And we're going to have speakers sections. So during breaks, the speakers are going to have an opportunity to stand in front of their banner and just talk with people. Lunch and breakfast is available depending upon which ticket you buy. I'm looking forward to just having people laugh. I want people to learn. And I can only imagine that if somebody picks up from any of these speakers 2, 3 nuggets apiece, if you're not tripling, quadrupling your production, don't come back. Don't come back. Something is wrong if you don't pick up something from the caliber of the speakers we are going to have. And when you are able to meet one-on-one and ask them, what would you do in this situation? And be shared advice from someone who as successful as these speakers are, man, what an opportunity.
And it's not just our own questions. What if you overhear someone else's question that they thought to ask? You're like, oh, wait, I've been meaning to ask. That's the other question I should have been asking. And you completely forget, but at least someone else asked and you got a chance to overhear at least someone else's opinion. Take that question, ask someone else. You never know what can happen. There's magic that can happen in what we call the meeting between meetings. That's where the real value of some of these events are. And which we pretty much covered my third question, but let's ask it anyway. There are many various industry conferences, including those put up by insurance companies and the IMOs and such. What would you say makes the professionals forum different from these other conferences that, we've all attended these other ones?
So I'm going to mention a conversation without mentioning the person who told me, or without mentioning the conference that they attended. But the professionals forum reeked of what the industry used to be. Today, some of these events are nothing more than television shows, and people get up and they talk about how good they are. I don't want that. You don't have to join an organization to come. You don't have to be a member of an insurance company to come. You don't have to pay to join a group to come. Come, just bring your butt to this event and join Nashville and learn something that will have an impact on your career for the rest of your life. The thing, David, that really upsets me, and I hope before I croak, I've had some impact on, the insurance industry is accepting 92% failure rate. And I'm out here trying to make a difference because it doesn't have to be that. Look, if I could increase it to 16% success rate, that's still 74% failure rate. That sucks. No, 16 out of 100, that's 84%. What a horrible statistic. Yes, some people who get a life license, they're influenced by the neighbor down the street that drives a Rolls Royce. I get that. I get that. And I want to join this industry because I can make a lot of money. Yeah, you can, but you have to earn it. You have to know how to do it. And if your only objective is to make a commission, go open a Taco Bell. You'd have less frustration and a lot more money. But if you're truly wanting to be an expert in your craft, it doesn't come easy. It isn't for everyone. Successful people do what non-successful people won't do. And when you think about, if it were easy, our commission would be $1 and we would be replaced by AI. Thank God this job is difficult, but I'm telling you, the older I get, it doesn't have to be. Some will, some won't, so what? But I'm telling you, if you understand the implications of the choices you're offering and the decisions they've already made, and help them understand where they're going, life insurance will sell itself. And I'm going to be spending time talking about that. If you present it in a way that the average American can understand the benefits of what it is that we do, and then also emphasize the problems that are associated with typical financial advice, therein lies the problem. The difference between what your client thought they were doing versus what they're gonna do. And when you expose that issue, they're begging for help. I have my hand raised. I want to help them. And it isn't that difficult. We speak and run on sentences. Very few salesmen even slow down long enough to take a breath. You have to eat the elephant one bite at a time. And of course, we've all heard that, but very few of us practice it. I'm going to show you how we can. If we break this process down into small bites of information, and we show what the objective is for every conversation we have and what our expected results are going to be, then I can walk you through your own journey, holding your hand, putting my arm around you as you reach financial independence by yourself. All I've done has been the conduit of the way you think and the actions you're taking. And if I could help you understand that what it has taken you to get to where you are today cannot be used to get you to what everyone in the industry talks about. And I'm going to show you how wealth works. So you don't have to join any organization, you just have to show up. And I think it would be a crime if you don't come to a professionals forum event.
So there's one other aspect I wanted to bring up, because this is not about product. This is not about any company. That's one of the biggest things. Although when I first met you, which was 14 years ago, it was by a particular company. And the first half of that particular program was, here's our product, here's our wholesalers. And I'm like, yeah, nothing different. And then you took the stage. And like, I want to become more like you, because you knew exactly what you were doing. You had everything to a fine science. And if we can be around people like you who are excellent communicators, just knowing that that's possible can just expand our vision and such. So my last question I've got is that there's some agents may believe that unless their company pays for it, they don't see the need to spend money to go to events like this. Or they might feel that they're just not quite earning enough to justify spending the money to attend. If those agents were talking to you directly, what would you encourage them, a new thought to consider to make a different decision?
Let me quote Van Miller. If you want to be in the industry 10 years from now and you don't show up to this professionals forum, you will not be in the industry 10 years from now. That's his quote. If you want to make it, if you want to survive, you better know what the successful people are doing and why they're doing it. And if you can't mimic it to some degree, unfortunately, you're going to be one of those 92% statistics. I don't want to see that happen. Invest in yourself. And if you invest $1,000, $2,000, $5,000, $10,000, but make hundreds over your career. I remember attending one of the industry leaders' boot camps. It was the 5th time, and he's calling roll, and he said, Tom Love, and I said, here. He goes, he looked up, he goes, what are you doing here? And I said, I don't need to be here. I want to be here. There's a difference. I always pick up a nugget. And if you look at this as an investment in the future success of your career, you're going to get multiples of your investment back. And hopefully, during one of the breaks, you're going to be on your cell phone calling a client. I just heard something that's fascinating. You need to hear it. Can I talk to you when I get back into town? And if you're not doing that, you're one of the 92. I want people to come to the Financial Professionals Forum Summit if you want to succeed in this business. And I don't care what product you like. I really don't. I have a preference for a specific type. So do others. So do others. But how do they do it? How do they separate themselves? What's that differentiating factor? And people in the audience could do what Jim Root has said. I could do that. I could do that. I could see myself saying that. Yes, you can. Yes, you can. And if you make one sale from something you've heard from someone else who was successful and did it, welcome. You're on your way. That's what I want to have happen in February and March of this year.
Absolutely. And I'm going to quote someone who's a general sales teacher, Brian Tracy, who says that it is the biggest mistake we could make is to believe that we only work for someone else. We are always self-employed. It's our education. It's our duty to invest in ourselves, not waiting for someone else to pave the way. It's up to us to do that for ourselves because we're the company. We're the ones that are providing our professional services to others, working on behalf of insurance companies or whoever we're working on our behalf for. So thank you so much, Tom. I wanted to quickly show, if I can, I'm going to show my screen or share my screen. Here it is. So here's the Professionals Forum website. You can scroll down to get all the information. We're in 46 days, 21 hours from now. We're going to be starting. You can see quick previews of most of the various speakers. You can see our bios, the various sponsors. We're really thankful for our sponsors. Notice we got NAFA to be a sponsor here, guys. They don't sponsor junk. I just got to tell you. You can find out more information, getting your tickets, where it's going to be, all of that. There's even, if you go down to the About section, there's attendees frequently asked questions, and then you can look at whatever's there. Most of that is going to be there. Of course, you can message me. I'm almost always available to answer questions, but of course you can say, Tom, if they had a question that's not answered on there, is there an email address they can message out?
Yeah, through here there will be. But if
There
you
it
want,
is.
info at the Breakaway League is how you can get a hold of me. Info at
Okay.
thebreakawayleague.com.
Info at thebreakawayleague.com. And there's even a button right here. Have a question, click here to email support. So there'll be some way to message somebody and get a question. And by the way, apparently there is a special package. If you're 10 or more people, definitely email and contact. There will be a special package. I don't have the details. I just know it's there. I can't think of anything else right now, but I do have, I'm going to take a look here in the chat. Jeremy, thank you very much. The Google of insurance. I don't know how I could capitalize on that. There's got to be a way. I've got to figure that out. Joe Casey, I believe I will go. I think you're in the Chattanooga area. So Joe, I look forward to meeting you. He says he's got several friends going. Jose, take my money, please. Yes. Give us a credit card. We'll take care of it. Joe Casey says again, it is very true what you're saying. I go to things not just to learn, but to stay sharp. Absolutely. Thank you so much. Keep the comments and everything going, but Tom, unless you have anything else that you really want to add to close this up.
I look forward to meeting everybody. I want to have an impact on this business. I want to leave a legacy of the simplicity of selling, and it doesn't have to be as hard as we seem to make it. And I'm anxious to share with everyone that shows up some of these nuggets that I have used over my career to write millions of dollars in premium, and it's transferable. I did not get straight A's in school. I know you're shocked, David. No, I did not. And so I'm not the sharpest tool in the shed either. So there are people that are much more intelligent than me, but I think I've made it simple. And if I can make it simple and others can follow that simplicity, then I think I've won. I think I have succeeded. So I'm looking forward to meeting everybody who just commented in your chat window.
Excellent. I'm looking forward to it, of course, as well, to meet everybody. And one of the things I'm going to be saying is I might not be the expert someone needs, but I probably know who is. So even if you're coming and you don't know, ask me the questions, ask everybody your questions, and let's figure out how we can help everybody, the common phrase is to 10x your business. Well, maybe we could do even more than that. Who knows?
Sure. Sure.
All right. Well, we'll leave it at that. Thank you all so much for listening, watching, and attending. And we'll see you at the forum. We got about 6 weeks now. Get your tickets.
Sounds great. Thanks, David.